welcome to today's show, Family Life, A Catholic Vision. So yes, folks, we are back and we have a fantastic experience to bring to you today. We have some guests that are no strangers to the show, but nonetheless, I will still introduce them because they're the type of guests that, to reel them in, you kind of have to introduce them. But we have today with us Father Matthew Aguirre, Tricia Syms, and of course Raymond Syms, husband of Tricia Syms. Yes, and today they are coming to share with us their wonderful experience at World Meeting of Families 2018. So welcome.
Thank you very much.
And how are you all today?
Good.
Good? Okay, Father Matthew,
Good,
you look
good.
like you're good?
Yeah, we're good.
You're good. So you're ready to talk about World Meeting of Families?
Yes, I'm excited.
Is 1 hour good enough?
Well, we'll see. We work with what we have.
We work with what you have. Yeah. Okay. Maybe we should reschedule another show because no, or we're gonna try to pack it into
Well, let the viewers tell us whether they want more.
Which you most likely will. So
Okay.
but World Meeting of Families seems like it has so much happen in that short space of time. And I'm very excited to hear along with our audience to be exposed to something as beautiful as this. So let's get into it. The theme and the dates and where it was held. Can you all share with us the theme and stuff and when and where it was held this year? Anyone?
Okay, the World Meeting of Family, this was our badge, for instance.
Right.
And it was held in Ireland, in Dublin, at the Royal Dublin Society, and then the Festival of Families was at a stadium, Croke Park. And the final Mass was in Phoenix Park, which is the largest outdoor park in Europe.
Right.
So for the first part of it, the Holy Father was not there. Some people think the Holy Father was there for the whole World Meeting of Families. But there was a conference, and that was at the Royal Dublin Society, where you had lots of sessions and facility. So you had a whole program.
Right.
There you go.
As you can see,
and
we have work class guys.
you just choose which talks you want to go to.
Right.
Okay, the average hall, the smallest hall I saw probably held 500, 600, 700 people.
Right.
The largest would hold maybe about
1,000.
1,000.
800
Wow.
to 1,000 people.
800 to 1,000.
Okay.
But
when was it? What dates?
It was August the 21st.
Right.
The 22nd, to the 26th.
Oh, so that's like full 5 days of fun activities.
Yes, it was fun activities, and as Father said, the Congress was the 21st. The 21st was the opening ceremony, and then the 23rd, 24th, and 25th.
Right.
We get these dates, right?
No.
The 21st to the 26th is what it was.
Yes.
The 22nd was the opening ceremony, and then the 3 days of Congress, followed by the Festival of Families on the Saturday, and Sunday was the papal mass.
Okay, all right. So as you could tell, so many things happen that, the dates and everything, but that's just to show you. That's just to show you when something is so well planned out and organized and full of activity that, you just kind of get, okay, when did this happen?
It was surreal in many ways.
Yes.
For us, one of the things that was very surreal was we stayed at Tala in a Dominican priory and Dominican retreat house, where a lot of the older Dominican priests who worked in Trinidad many years ago are there.
Right.
In their old age home. So that kind of met us every morning and afternoon and brought back a lot of memories and a lot of stories. I remember Tricia meeting Father Foley.
Father Foley, so I'm from Santa Rosa Heights originally.
Right.
And I remember Father Foley was the architect for our church in Santa Rosa Heights. So, I met him, he's like 92.
Yeah.
He's like 92, but he remembered people from Santa Rosa Heights. So he remembered the Polydors, the McCartneys, and so we all,
Father Leo Donovan, Father Vincent
Travers.
Travers.
He was there?
Yes.
What
all
a
of them.
reunion. How
Father
fantastic.
Patrick Brennan. And a lot of others who I have never met, but they all said, Trinidad, yes, we spent time there.
Father Greg Carroll.
Right, and you would have heard of them.
Yes.
And of course, being
yes.
here, and you'd be like, oh wow, so I got to put a name to the face, and maybe a small part of you is like, can I get her autograph in case, No, that's just me, If I see people that I've heard about, it's like, wow, in person, so that sounds pretty fantastic.
Yes.
Just the whole scheme of things.
And it was 3 of us, but also Bishop Robert Llanos and Father John Prasad.
Yes.
So our crew was 5 from the
squad goals.
5 from the AEC, the Antilles Episcopal Conference, but also Jesse Mengo, who is Deacon Jesse Mengo, and Father Matthew Martinez joined us for certain things.
And then Maurice White.
And Maurice White was there.
Yeah.
So you all had a real squad.
The Dominicans in Ireland really took care of us. You know, Jesse was with us all the time. You know, a lot of the times, you know.
Beautiful hospitality.
Yes. Dominicans, heads up to you.
And the thing is, I mean, you know, when you meet somebody in a place that you really don't expect to meet so many Trinidadians and you haven't interacted with so many Trinidadians, it makes you feel like home. Yes. So like, you know, it probably brought them back to a sense of home, and that's, you know, reason why they stayed so close to you. And I'm positive they probably miss you and just thinking over all the fun times you all spent together. Yes. But that in itself, I know, is just one part. I know you all have so many other things to share with us, and I'm here to ask questions.
Sure.
So, I mean, the program. You all spoke about the program, but I heard about things like UCAT and the Teen Global Village, and then Tricia came and told me about a Camino walk that I was like Googling and couldn't find. What I found wasn't what it was, and I saw so many different things in talking and an experience. So talk to me about the program, what you all did, like workshops you all did.
Well, let me say that what I found, this was my first experience of World Meeting of Families. Tricia already experienced it in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
What I found was that you had so many workshops to choose from.
Yeah.
And you actually had to stop and think, should I go to this one? Should I go to that one? It was, I would say Wednesday, the first day wasn't, to me, not as exciting.
Right.
But the Thursday and Friday, I mean, if you look at the program had a lot of workshops that you found you'd be interested in, you know. So I've been reporting about it in the Catholic News.
Yes.
Like Thursday was on sports. Friday there was the one that I attended that dealt with the sexual abuse scandal.
Right.
All right. Oh. But I mean, Father Matthew and Tricia both went to another one I was interested in going, which was the whole issue of LGBTQ.
Right.
Right. But if you look at the program, it was, should I go this one? Should I go that one? If I go that one, then I'll miss this one. And
flip a coin.
Yeah. It really was a case like that.
Yes.
You know?
Okay.
But I remember we went to the all of us went to the Choose Life Pope Francis on the Throwaway Culture by Cardinal Luis Antonio Tagle. Tagle. And I mean, that was just very eye-opening. That was on the first day, that was Wednesday. And I remember, you know, Cardinal Tagle is, you know, very effervescent and so on. And the way he spoke about, you know, how the throwaway culture started. It didn't just happen. It started in the 1930s, I think it was. Yeah, and then it came down. It went through automobile, you know, it being, you know, patriotic, and then you go into the economy, and then the clothing industry, and how, you know, everything now is just disposable.
Yes,
everything. You know, you can't think of one thing that's not disposable. So you know, that talk for me really helped. But family is not disposable, and I think, you know, even though the culture, things in the culture may be disposable, the person is not disposable. And I think he really brought that out in a real way. He showed, you know, Laudate Si and Amoris Laetitia. Laudate Si, I always wondered, why did that document, Laudate Si, come out before Amoris Laetitia? Laudate Si deals with the environment and so on. And I only understood it after. You know, you have to take care, you know, God made the earth, and then he made the person, then he made man. Father, am I right?
Yeah.
Okay. So, you know, that helped me. According to Genesis.
Bible.
That made me understand that, you know, humans are to take care of the environment, take care of the earth. So, you know, and that was really eye-opening for me.
Right.
That talk really set us off because it was in the largest hall that we had, and it was packed with people. Now, if you've ever seen anything that Cardinal Tagle done, he's from the Philippines. He was very, in one sense, academic. So he had solid academic. He challenged people to think and to understand what are the trends happening in sociology and psychology that have brought us here. You know, he quoted people like Toffler, whose Future Shock was a big book in academics about what is coming in the future years ago. And but at the same time mixed that with tremendously personal experiences. I mean, he had people crying. You know, he gave the story about his watch. You know, that people said to him, you know, what you doing with that watch, that old watch, you know? And this kind of culture that new watch come, you know, throw away the old one and get a new one. And he gave the story about his parents taking a loan to give him his first watch. And he kept that. And even when his mother said, you know, you still have it, you know? And he said, because when he sees that, what he sees
is a person
behind this gift.
Yeah.
That is really revealing the person.
Yeah.
You know? And for him, it's not about just throwing away things.
Yeah.
So it was a very powerful talk, because in our families, there's so much of that we struggle with.
Yeah.
In Trinidad, you know, pollution. Just think about our flooding and all of that.
Yeah.
And pollution and the way in which we treat people as though they could be used and discarded and used for my benefit. So we're consumerists in so many ways. So he really challenged us to take to heart this and live it in a new way in our families, you know.
Right.
Of course, when he was done, Tricia was trying to get a picture with
But
him.
Father
Of
Matthew,
course.
I was trying to get a selfie.
Yeah.
But Father
Who
Matthew
was
got
stopping
it.
it? Oh.
Father Matthew, I couldn't get through, but Father Matthew just went, look, this is how you do it. And you got one.
You couldn't get through? I could imagine that though. A part of me could imagine that she couldn't get
it was just
through. But you was no shame.
So what I did is I just watched where he was going, and I said, he's going to go through that door, and I just stood at the door while nobody was there, and as he walked through, I just stood like that.
So what you're trying to say is you ninja your way into it?
Yeah, something like that.
Great.
And he was just saying too that his value, you know, when he was a priest, you know, he had low value.
Yes.
When he became an archbishop, you know, his value increased. When he became a cardinal, I mean, it just reached to the top. You know, so
because the selfie culture is part of that kind of disposable, you know, and he linked it to the way in which, who are the people we desire to take pictures with, you know, and why,
you know,
and what does it do for us, you know.
Let me tell you something, Jonah. It is a struggle for me to take pictures. The struggle is real to take, because people sometimes, why are you taking a selfie and this, that, and the other? And I'm just like, I mean, it is what it is. Just take a picture. Just, you know, because memories. I like to take pictures for memories, just like you, Father, you know. So I understand, because you'll have that forever, you know. But thank you for sharing that, the UCAT and the Teen Global Village.
And the kids.
And the kids corner.
Right.
Yes.
You have to walk a little distance to go over to the other side.
There's a lot of walking.
Yes.
Every day we were...
we were checking ourselves how many steps we made for the day.
More than 10,000.
15,000 to 20,000 on the average day.
Right.
You know, so.
Okay.
So I went on the Friday when Bishop Barron was giving his talk, because time was just running with so many exciting things to do. So we talked about Bishop Barron just now. Yes. I went to the children's village because I wanted to see what they were doing there. And they had launched the UCAT for kids at the World Meeting of Families. So I wanted to see, you know, what were some of the exciting things that they were doing with children. You know, how you bring the faith alive in movement. Because a lot of times, you know, we teach the faith sitting down and in front somebody talking. But in the children's village, you know, there was a lot of movement and a lot of activity. I'm sure you may be seeing some of the pictures coming up.
That's what I was going to say.
You know, in terms of how do we make our faith alive to not just young people, but the little ones, but also to the older ones. So the UCAT really, you know, was a very inspiring space for me, seeing all the movement and activity and color that was involved in teaching the faith to young persons. And I think we can learn.
Yes, very professional.
You were able to get in to see.
Well, when I was able to get into the kids zone, because I think there were a lot of other parents there. I attempted to go to the teen village, and they will not allow me. And I thought, but do I look like a predator? Why wouldn't they allow me into the kids zone? And then I understood, because they asked me, do you have any teens in here? You have any children in here? And I said no. And they said persons without children are not allowed.
To give them their space.
But not only to give them their space, but also to keep children safe.
Right.
And to me, that was the big lesson there, that we have to come up in this big conference. We, you know, they found a way to keep the teens safe. The children it was an open area, and their parents were there. But with the teens, it was in another area, and they found ways to keep young people safe. And I found that very good.
What is interesting is that, so you had the UCAT, which, by the way, Pope Francis gave us free gifts to everyone there.
Okay, wow.
And you could have taken, I walked away with 4. They just kept giving. I mean, the truth is, and they said, some people took a box, you know, they just kept saying, please take more. You know, the Holy Fathers just sent, they had loads of these.
Right.
And, but they're heavy, you know, so. But the space, they had craft activities, they had music, they had all sorts of stuff. And in the Teens Village, I did go to the Teens Village because one of the organizing people I knew.
Right.
And they got me in and they said, come and see what this is like. It was quite amazing. They had this huge temporary camp that is set up. These kind of very fancy tents, with hard walls kind of thing. So, but all prefab kind of thing. And it was a non-stop filmed TV program with all these teenagers sitting on big cushions and very professional lighting and stuff with a cast and various big speakers. So when I went in, Cardinal Tagley was sharing with the young people his story. And they had a whole panel of youth and young adults talking with him. And then all the teens and others were there. And it was being filmed live.
Right.
And broadcasted. And they also had worship artists. So Audrey Assad, who is an international Catholic artist, was there doing a concert.
Wow.
And I went to a young adult festival. I brought all sorts of the encounter, which was just adoration. We went to this church and all these young adults were there, young adult priests and religious as well, but a lot of Irish youth, all on their knees, some crying, Eucharistic adoration. And it was very beautiful because Eucharistic adoration is very, very big in Dublin from what we saw. Even in the conference, there was non-stop Eucharistic adoration and you could go in there and pray. And there were always people there. So it was a very beautiful experience of the way in which people are living their faith in the midst of a secular society, in the midst of where the Prime Minister is saying, the church and Christianity has had its time, now is a different time. In the midst of that, what you see on the ground is people saying, no, God is still important for us.
Right.
And I remember the last night, that was the Friday night, so Father Matthew went to the encounter on the Friday night, and Raymond and I and Bishop Robert, we were walking, we were just going to eat something.
Yes, going to eat something.
Every night.
And every night. And as we were walking through it was the main street, what is it called, Grafton? What was it called? I can't remember, the main street in Dublin. Well, this young girl, she's probably in her teens.
Yeah, a teenager. And she approached us.
She approached us.
No, she approached us and she simply said if you would like to, and these are young people on the streets approaching strangers, and they got a good feedback. I mean, yes, they saw Bishop Robert because he had a big color. So they invited him to come to spend
This Bishop Robert Llanos.
Yes.
And they invited him to just come in to spend a couple minutes at before the Blessed Sacrament.
So they invited him and they invited us, and they asked us to come and light a candle.
Right.
Now, as one of the additional activities of the World Meeting of Families was the Pilgrim Walk, where pilgrims were invited to, visit 7 churches and pray for different things. So this, as I said, is in the middle of the town, Dublin, on one of the busiest streets, and here we are invited to St. Teresa's Carmelite Church. And what we didn't know, I wanted to do the Pilgrim Walk from the beginning, but things were tight and this is Friday night and I'm saying we'll never get to do this Pilgrim Walk. Everybody else didn't seem excited like me for the Pilgrim Walk, right? I said, on Saturday, I'm going to this Pilgrim Walk, even if I have to go by myself. But here's Friday night, as we're walking through the town, this young lady invites us to come in and light a candle and pray. And then she says the relics of St. Therese of Lisieux, whose feast we celebrate today, October 1st. And her parents, Louis and Zélie Martin. The relics were there at the church, as the parents of St. Therese of Lisieux. And I found that, God really knows what you really need.
Yes.
And I really wanted to see those, to be a part of that experience in front of the relics of St. Therese of Lisieux and Zélie and Louis Martin, her parents, and that really was stayed with me, and it really impacted me as well. In light of, we celebrate today's feast.
Okay. Well, the thing is, Raymond, you're sitting there, and while Tricia is talking, and I'm internalizing Tricia and Father Matthew, an image came to my mind of you with a VR device, right? The virtual reality, the thing that you had over your eyes. And Tricia, I was like, what? They had that there? My mind automatically was, Tricia, what was that like? Because I kind of have an idea, but what what exactly were you using? Or tell the audience, first of all, what is a virtual reality device and what you were doing with it?
Okay, all right.
Right?
Now, what I found about that whole Congress was as you enter,
Yes.
I mean, I don't know if I just showed them the tag. The tag. You had to get in using this tag.
Right.
Right, and every day they scanned it.
Right.
Right, they scanned this.
That's the
area down
barcode,
here.
right.
Yeah.
Right, they scanned the barcode.
Right.
And then you were allowed in. And it's a huge hall, about 2 sections,
Yes.
and a lot of exhibitions.
Right.
All right. So the picture you saw me wearing this VR device
Yes.
is one of the booths on the environment, where they give you like a 3-dimensional or whatever.
Yes, it's like you're in it.
Yeah, in it. So that was one of the interesting things. There was also, I think there was, in one of the booths, there was a car
Yes.
which had
Yes.
all the windows with
Stained
glass.
Yes,
right?
yes,
So,
yes.
but they didn't put a price at how much it cost.
Right.
But we walked around all the different booths. Most of them dealt with family life. There was marriage encounter. Which other booths there were?
Teams of Our Lady.
Retrovive.
Retrovive.
Yes.
Catholic
And
Engagement
many other
Council.
things that don't exist here. So
Yeah.
anything you can imagine in marriage and family was there.
Yeah.
So you all had plenty light bulb moments.
We
So
did.
Well,
walked
yes,
around
and
a lot.
they kept giving out lots of things. I mean,
Yeah.
refocus and focus, you know,
Right.
which is about, it's an inventory to help couples. So
Right.
focus is before they get married, refocus is after marriage. And it has a very psychological component. You know, they gave out these on Humane Vitae 50th anniversary,
Nice.
which is this year, accompanying couples over a lifetime, projects and programs and all sorts of things.
Yes.
Retrovi, you know.
Yeah.
We got DVDs about things, Catholic Marriage Care Services, Accord, which operates in Ireland. So a lot of things were Irish-based and European-based. But in getting all this, you get ideas.
Of
You know,
course.
you expand your base, and then Shalom Community.
Right. You
know,
had any space in your suitcase for the clothes you actually brought there?
If I had one.
Any space in your suitcase for
Well,
the things
actually,
you
my
actually
whole hand
brought there?
luggage was
books?
yeah, because
Sounds
I got
so
a
much
few
like
books
you.
as well. But you know, Shalom Community is very interesting because when I studied in Rome, I used to go visit them, and I did a whole project on them. You know, and then it was very interesting to meet them at the World Meeting of Families. They do a lot of ministry in family life and in media. So they have lots of television and radio stations
Lots.
worldwide. They're from Fortaleza in Brazil and founded by, well, I can't remember the founder's name. But, you know, this magazine, I was just showing Tricia, for instance, you know, this is a magazine, one of them. They had a few they were giving out. And it has lots of things. But there are articles, Catholic Guide to Self-Defense, for instance, you know.
Practical articles.
Healing my marriage through natural family planning. You know, things that are very practical and done in a way that is very beautiful, you know. The new people going to Our Lady of Knox Shrine, you know, so they publish Shalom TV. This is with like a bookmark, you know.
Right.
Our Lady of Knox, and all sorts of things about all their work worldwide. And then they were going to cover the Eucharistic Congress in Liverpool, which was going to happen after this, you know.
So I just want to make mention to the viewers, the video that you saw in the beginning was actually taken from Shalom TV. They have a lot of footage from World Meeting of Families that our guests are speaking about. And I'm very happy to say, in doing my research, I realized World Meeting of Families actually put up on YouTube all of the talks from the actual conference. So if you feel like you want to be a part of it, just go onto YouTube and type in World Meeting of Families 2018. You will be taken to their channel, and you just click on the channel and you will see all the talks that they're talking about, and even the talks that we don't talk about. So you yourself could be part of the idea building, idea sharing, and what you can contribute as well to our diocese. Yes?
No.
I see Father Matthew. Yes.
No, I'm just going to
Continue.
say that one of the interesting things for me was meeting so many of my classmates from Rome.
Right.
Because the graduate studies I did were in marriage and family.
Yes.
And therefore, a lot of them are responsible for marriage and family in their diocese and came in contingent. And then I met a number of my professors, you know, and introduced Tricia and Raymond and the crew to some of them who were chairing some of the panels and stuff like that. So that was interesting, but our days were very packed. I don't think people realize. We were returning home about 11:30. It took us an hour to get to the center every morning, an hour therefore to return. And then you had, what, one talk in the morning?
Well, that
Two
brings
talks
me.
in one.
So
Yeah.
that brings me to my question, right? Now I realize we're talking and talking and talking, and we had videos scheduled, but impromptu videos will not be shared. We are talking live and in front of you today. But I'm going to challenge y'all, right? I'm going to challenge y'all. Y'all have to choose one workshop. Tricia, don't look at me that way. I know you can't see how Tricia looking at me, but one workshop that y'all attended that made an impact on you personally and on the work that you do. You have one workshop to choose, and you have to tell us about it. 2 minutes.
2 minutes.
Yes, as in to tell us about that one workshop.
Okay.
Talk about it in detail, because you all went a lot. But we want our audience to at least remember at least one thing that stood out to you.
Okay.
So,
So
go
Father
ahead.
Matthew is eager.
Yes.
While I try to find out which
Hashtag.
one was really.
Hashtag
Which one
eager.
you stood out.
Hashtag Father Matthew.
Okay, here we go.
Yes.
So, honest Raymond, ready?
Oh,
Is
oh.
it
I'm,
good?
I'm as a
Raymond,
journalist.
yes, as a journalist.
Okay, so I went as part of the contingent, but I'm also a journalist. Okay.
Yes.
So the one that stood out for me was the last one I went to, which had Mary Collins, a sex abuse survivor.
Right.
The hall was not completely filled, but there were a lot of survivors in the hall. What stood out for me was the people want the church to deal with this whole issue of the sexual abuse scandal that's taken place in the church, right? And they were very, I wouldn't say vociferous, but they were very firm that enough is enough, and the church has to deal with this. The thing I need to say is that on the programs, there was supposed to be some American hierarchy, church hierarchy, but none came. None of them came, because it was a couple days after the Pennsylvania report.
Yeah.
Right? So that is just to show you how serious it was dealt with.
Yes.
That they didn't come. They decided not to come because they had to deal with what was going on back at home.
Right.
But that workshop with Mary Collins, listening to them speaking, I mean, yes, you read it in the online, you read it in the papers, but to hear people speak about it, you could tell that this is a serious matter. And I think that stood out for me.
Yeah.
Thank you, Raymond. I'm so glad you brought that up. I think it's
among
good.
other things.
Among other things, I think it's good that our viewers to see that we ourselves are talking about it, not directly, but in a sense. Yes?
Well, in the closing mass, the Holy Father at the penitential rite asked forgiveness over and over, directed at various things, but for three things, which are very interesting: abuses of power, abuses of conscience, and then the sexual abuse that had happened in the church. And that's interesting because we are thinking only in terms of the sexual abuse that has happened within the church. But what he clearly said there is that it's more than that. There are ways in which power is being abused and ways in which conscience has been abused. So you make people think that this is how things are, and therefore you make them feel guilty for being in sin, and it's not a mortal sin or anything like that. And that has happened in Ireland. So Ireland, what we experienced on the ground were mixed reactions.
Yes, it's true.
Very mixed reactions to faith, to church, to religion, and all these things.
Right.
Which is not a bad thing,
Yes.
Because given what they have experienced, it is a time for healing now. So, but what was clear is that there are many people in Ireland who are also still believing. I mean, we saw that when we were walking to Phoenix Park for the final mass. We saw people pushing their mothers and grandmothers and grandfathers in wheelchairs. You saw people with their strollers, and it was lots of walking because they shut down all the transport in the city center. So we walked and walked and walked to reach it. And you turn one street and you saw a whole street full of people, and people just filing in. So the Irish media, one of the media outlets said, a couple thousand people came. There were a lot of things that you saw how, depending on which media station was reporting it, you saw a very different things. So I bought about 6 newspapers when I came back, and you saw different messages and all of that. I said, okay, this is
that
interesting.
Is interesting. It's so funny that, Raymond, you brought up that, because one of my questions later down on the show would have been, how did the controversy in the church before the scandals and everything. How did that impact this meeting? But we'll get to that because I know that we could go more in depth with it.
Yes.
Tricia, do you want to share with us one program that really stood out to you that you think really impacted your life?
Well, I think Cardinal Tagley's talk really impacted me in a big, big way. I went to the talk with Father Martin, Father James Martin, showing welcome and respect in our parishes for LGBT people and their families. That was the most talked about session at the conference. I mean, the hall was overflowing. And as he highlighted different points, which you can read in this week's Catholic News, it's there. But something that struck me by what he said, you know, Archbishop Joseph Harris had been talking about during his time about this whole thing about hospitality and welcoming people. And one of the things that came up as with parishes being open and welcome, you know, he said that they are persons with same-sex attraction, well, those who are Catholic, they're Catholic. You know, they're Catholic just as the Pope and the Bishop and so on, and we need to welcome people. But it's not just persons with same-sex attraction or LGBT. We need to be a welcoming church. And I think, you know, we have lost that sense of who we are in terms of hospitality. We're picking and choosing who we want to come, who should be in the church, but that's not our responsibility. And that really came out to me. He talked about persons with same-sex attraction, you know, bringing gifts to the church. Everybody bring a gift to the church. You know, he was saying that they bring, you know, that whole thing about forgiveness and compassion because they have felt so ostracized from the church. But a lot of people have continued to feel ostracized from the church, and we need to welcome them.
Right.
And he talked about we need to see people with same-sex attraction more than just their sexual lives. They are human beings, they are persons, and we need to see that. And I thought it's not just the persons with same-sex attraction. We need to see people as people and, you know, invite them into the church. So there were some other things that he said and include them in ministry and so on. So to me, it wasn't just the LGBTQIA continuing persons that this message was being addressed to. It was being addressed to the whole church. How can we be a church, a space that welcomes people with mercy and a sense of inclusivity? So that was just some of the things that impacted me.
Yes, Father. Would you like to share on a particular program that, you know, besides all the programs that really stood out to you?
I went to the session that Bishop Robert Barron did, and I can't actually remember the name of the session, but it dealt with family practices, it dealt with secularization today, but you know, I do think Bishop Robert Barron has his finger on something in the church today. And he's the one who has done the Catholicism talks and DVD presentations that people perhaps have seen, and a number of others. You know, so I went afterwards to meet him, you know. So
yes, of course. You took a picture?
Yeah, I did, and he autographed.
He autographed him, because I follow him on everything.
So I did say to him, you know, thank you for one of the big things he's brought a resurgence in is the way of beauty, you know. Yes. And so I said that to him, and he lit up with that. But it's true, because what he's saying is that we have to propose the faith in a way that's beautiful. People fall in love with beauty, you know. Before you say laws and rules and regulations, you bring beauty. You know, so Benedict XVI speaks about that, Balthasar, and other. Pope Francis, you know, also speaks about that in Evangelii Gaudium. But in that talk, he highlighted the frightening reality of, for instance, more and more people in the States are saying they don't believe in anything. So they call them nuns. That's a new category.
N-O-N-E-S.
Not N-U-N-S, not that.
Right.
Those are cloisters, sisters. But N-O-N-E-S. And more young people are doing that. And how are we proposing the faith to them? You know, I'm reading a book by Rowan Williams, the past head Archbishop of Canterbury, and Faith in the Public Square. And there he speaks about the way in which we have reduced morality so much to one thing, sex, that unless we have a bigger sense of morality, then the way in which we need to dialogue with a secular culture becomes difficult. And then that talk, you know, Bishop Barron spoke about what are the kinds of practices we are inculcating in our family lives that will help build the virtues that we need. You know, he building a lot on writings like Alistair McIntyre, who is, I wrote my research thesis on him. And Stanley Hauerwas, who's the other big name in virtue ethics. You know, but what I kind of practice is meals, you know, the sports, the ways in which we gather and reflect, the ways in which we have time for each other, not just everybody swamped in their screens. You know, it always saddens me. You go in restaurants and you see
couples.
From the time the family sits down, the child hand goes like that, you know, hand the iPad, and they plug in, you know, and they go into their own bubble. And what are these practices doing to us? And what are the practices we're choosing that will lead us to build a virtue culture where it says, you're not the center of the world. In fact, Word on Fire, which is a company he founded, they're publishing these t-shirts that say something like that. You are not the center of the world, with a picture of a saint on the side. Because unless people grasp that, unless we move out of our self-centered desires and all these things and learn to die to self, to care, how will family life grow? How will we learn to give the gift of self if we're just absorbed in self?
Yes.
You know? So those are so many things.
Bishop Barron, he has, if you all want to be able to get some of the content that he does, he has a fantastic media team. Wordonfire.org is his website. You could he's on YouTube, he's on Instagram, he's on Facebook, and he uploads everything. He has these wonderful talks.
He has a huge media team.
Yes, he has these wonderful talks that are short, easy to listen to. So if you want to experience some of what Father is saying to take back into your house, into your family, your community, your parish,
and
please
this is his latest book, you know, that which is a very good read. I'm almost finished. I'm on the last chapter right now. But it's a very good read. To Light a Fire on the Earth, Proclaiming the Gospel in a Secular Age. You know, very good read.
Yes. Okay, so well, thank you for sharing that. You all did well. You know, I actually didn't think that you all would be able to choose one, but now our viewers could see and they could do their own research on what was done. If you want to see the talk that Raymond is talking about, Tricia and Father, remember it's on YouTube. Be a part of the movement, because we, along with you, can make all of this happen. Yes?
But, you know, there were some things that, you know, I thought, you know, what can we bring back to Trinidad? You know, what can we do? Well, what we have been doing, I mean, we have some of the programs that minister to families that we identified, that we highlighted before. But, you know, I remember when I was walking around in the booths and I saw, now Father Flanagan is with Boys Town, which developed the Common Sense Parenting Program, which we offer. So when I saw that there was a course for his beatification, I got excited, you know, I said, even Common Sense Parenting is here, you know, we're on the right track. And, you know, so I thought, you know, having a novena to him, a novena is a 9 days of intentional prayer, you know, asking his intercession, especially parents for children who are doing well, but children who are, you know, having some difficulty along the way. All of us had difficulty. You remember, you had yours too. So, you know, so I started, you know, a 9-day novena starting today, you know, on, you know, just for parents to pray for their children, because we need as parents to continue praying. So that was really an eye-opener for me when I went around the booths and discovered this.
And since Tricia is talking about Common Sense Parenting, I'm going to put a little plug right here. We have a Common Sense Parenting program starting this Thursday at Providence Girls High School from 4:30 to 6:30 p.m. So if you're interested in attending, please feel free to call us. Our contacts are running below the screen. It's a fantastic program. You know, you see how excited Tricia is about it. You could be that excited too. So if you would like to be a part of it, give us a call, and my plug ends there. Continue.
And then I remember the marriage Camino. You know,
the marriage Camino.
Always talks about the Camino de Santiago that he went on. So maybe Raymond, you could share a little bit.
I can't remember, but it was by a German organization. That's all I could remember, because the guy had the German accent. But it was very interesting, you know, and we did it right there.
We did it right there. So it was like 4 stations. They had 4 stations there, but, you know, we talked about the times that we met. So we made that little journey. We didn't take any pictures.
Hands,
no, we didn't hold any hands.
Looking at each other lovingly, saying, I love you, baby. I love you.
We left that for you. That was the time and space. Everything needs time and space.
Okay, I thought it was romantic. And, you know.
So we did it. You know, we walked, you know, talking about the times that we met, you and I, when we met, how we started off 18 years ago. And then we went to the challenges of married life. You know, that was another station, and you know, that could be a lot, you know, the disagreements, the whole shebang, you know about it. And then when we went to the fair, some of the fairs that we
Look at Raymond, it's like...
Raymond, you don't remember
I can't remember. It was cold. It was cold and breezy, and it started to drizzle. And I was saying...
This is married life and real life here for you, right? For those who are married yet.
But it talked about prayer.
Yes.
You know, the fourth station at that time, because they didn't have all 9 stations.
Yeah.
But I thought it's something that we could bring back here and encourage married couples to share, you know, on the marriage camino.
Yes, please do that.
And I also found that the pilgrim walk to the 9 churches. You know, I said maybe in the Port of Spain area, maybe in Grande area, in Arima, in the southern area, you know, we could have families walking and praying.
Yes.
Because prayer was a big part of the conference, you know, as Father said. There was mass every day, and,
Yeah, of course.
and that was the main focus. And also there was a prayer space.
Yes.
Where, you know, we brought all the intentions from Trinidad. We took it into that, you know, offered it up to God in that space of prayer. So there were several takeaways that I could see us, you know, bringing back, and what we currently have strengthening.
You know, I really have to say that I will pray into existence that marriage camino. You know, just recently, my husband actually brought to me you know, is there any group that we could go to talk about, you know, being married as a young couple? And I brought it to Tricia, but I think young couples really enjoy activity. And activity helps to bring to us something that's fun, that brings back memories and stuff. So I'm really hoping that we can have a marriage camino that young couples, any couple could just come and partake and just share in beautiful, challenging memories of growth and development, you know. So hopefully that might be coming to you, so be on the lookout, you know.
And actually, a few days ago, Pope Francis said he would like to launch a permanent, he wants a permanent catechumenate for married couples. Now, what does that mean?
Yeah.
He says, and it's pushing it even further to what he said before. So he says he wants a program where, so a catechumenate is it's a structured learning of the faith, you know. So he wants a program that it's more than just the idea we have of a one-off program, where all through marriage preparation, which does not begin just before marriage, but all through that immediate marriage preparation, all through the first few years of marriage and onwards, they're continuously being engaged, married couples that is. Now, how do we do that requires a lot of work, because it's building on what he has said about accompanying couples and all these things. So that, you know, what you're saying is, you know, because we all know the programs that exist for married couples, like ME, Marriage Encounter, which have their love languages stuff coming up.
Yes.
Teams of Our Lady, Couples for Christ, etc. And in some parishes, they have groups that meet in one way or another. But the question is, how can we reach more people?
Yeah.
You know, that we have to continuously be thinking and imagining ways and being creative,
Yes.
asking God's Spirit to guide us. How can we continuously reach more people and bring them to experience the gospel, sow seeds and let them go out? Because couples have to be the ones to evangelize other couples.
Yeah.
You know?
You know, Father, you know, we're talking a lot about couples, and you would think that this conference was only...
Well, you know, it brings me to my next question. Can I ask it first? No. I realized, because I watch a lot of videos on it, and one thing that really struck me, I was real surprised because I was hearing all positive things, right? And this lady came and said that, you know, she's hearing a lot of critics saying that the world meeting of families are focusing on the perfect family. But, you know, it's not like that. But when you were there, true or false, was it like that?
Well, I remember after the first day's talk, I remember saying to Raymond, but single parents don't exist in this place or what? You know, because I said, you know, is it only married people? So at the end of the first day, I had some questions about, you know, whether or not single parents are a lived reality in this part of the world. And I remember us talking about it, but family life encompasses more than just married couples. I think married couples at this World Meeting of Families were part of the many presentations that they have, and I think that was deliberate, because I think the church needs to find a way to strengthen marriage. But even as we strengthen marriage, we have to look at other areas of marriage that are broken, and marriages are broken, and persons and single parents, all of us need to journey together because nobody has it all together, but together we have it.
Yeah.
So in my mind, there was a talk on fathering and fatherhood or something like that. And as they talked about the virtues of family life, the building blocks of family life, to me, I saw the bigger picture of family and the importance of grandparents. They dealt with that as well.
Yes, they dealt with grandparents.
So the focus to me was on marriage, but as I journeyed through the rest of the days, I realized the importance of other members and other family types of the family. So, but I did have that question. And when we were going to the Festival of Families and the Mass, you saw people, you know, persons with disabilities, special needs. You saw grandparents, people in wheelchairs, and so on. And you realize that the family is not just a married couple and two little children. That's not the only family type. The family is made up of much more.
Yeah, Raymond?
Some of the talks dealt with other types of families. But what I found, what I took back from the entire experience is, you know, you got a sense of the universality of the church, you know. You got, for example, the masses in the afternoon. The masses that took place in the afternoon, you in the hall, which was near to the, behind the main hall.
Which was in the open air.
In the open air, but you got a sense of, you know, people together, you know, and that sense of church was really something that I was impressed by, you know.
I think, you know, we end up in a very ideological battle over this family thing. And we have to remember that for the church, the understanding of nuclear families in itself, you know, yes, the church would say that the church doesn't get caught up in that kind of jargon, because that is that comes with a lot of bourgeoisie kind of thinking, well, to use sociological kind of critiques, that Marx went after and things like that. The family is a family, you know. So for the church, the basic cell of society is the mother and father called by God into the sacrament of matrimony, so into marriage, and then the children that come as a fruit of that. But also it extends to the way in which this interlocks generations, and not just generations, and spreads across the board. So that, but you cannot deny that at the center of it is a mother and father who are able to procreate. I mean, yes, there are ways in which life is given when they're not able to procreate, and what value that has for the continuity of generations and for passing on values and all these different things. So it's not that the church is saying, okay, all these other family types or models, as people speak of, are not important, but it's saying the building block of what society is today is this. And we also have to understand that there has been a sociological reading. You know, Anthony Giddens does a very good job at critiquing, for instance, the transformation of marriage and the family and what happens. But is the quote-unquote traditional family something in the past? No. Because how do we continue to have children? How do we continue to pass on? And therefore what the church is saying in all of this, and they didn't make a big deal of it, it just happened. It says we have to care for that. Yes, we care for everything else, but we have to care for this. Because in one sense, a lot of other things are the results of when this falls apart.
Exactly.
Pope Francis says, who is strengthening marriages today?
Yeah.
Who is? People are in crisis. Many, many young couples are in crisis, and they don't know where to turn. And people tell them, well, I don't have time, I don't have the skills, the qualification. So who is really working hard at strengthening marriages and helping marriages not end up in a state where you would then have to do so much more care?
Yeah.
If we focus our attention, and Morris Tricia goes to length about working with married couples, because, you know, as he said to Vatican judges in 2017, etc., that if we want a new way forward, that is not a whole set of annulments and divorces happening inside the church, then what we have to do is strengthen our marriage prep programs and rethink the whole marriage preparation from small learning to give the gift to yourself, renewing family life and strengthen the programs for after marriage.
Yes.
You know?
Well, that was one of the questions I had asked Tricia. You know, I was like, okay, so it sounds like a whole cadre of things, but was there one particular theme or one particular thing that really stood out? And she did say marriage prep.
The gospel of the family, joy for the world. You know, that marriage and family life is good news for the world.
Yeah.
In the light of what everyone wants to say about well, it fallen apart and this and that and the other. And we saw it. There were couples who traveled. I mean, there was a couple I knew, a young man I knew from Venezuela, and he introduced me to his whole family, you know, because he had come and spent some time with us at Living Water here. And parents and 4 children, you know. And you saw couples with all their children.
Yeah, I saw that.
It was
In the
just so
pictures,
beautiful,
there was just
you know?
like this. I saw a lady with like a pram with like 3 pots, and I was like, they make those? And it was like these 3 children, and she had this big knapsack, and like the grandparents was there, and it was like a family thing. It was like a family
And it's
event.
not a bother, you know.
No, it's
You
not
saw
about
children
children.
as gift, you know,
Yeah.
and you know the children are a gift from God. You know, whether you know in this disposable culture we see children as it's easy to dispose of, abortion and so on. But we saw that the giftedness of children and the giftedness of people, that people are gifted. As Father spoke there, I thought of how are we strengthening marriages, and I think of Marriage Encounter having their one-day convention for all couples. It's open to all married couples, whether you're married 1 day, 10 years, 20 years, how many
9
years.
months.
The languages of love on November the 11th at Green Meadows.
Yeah.
You'll see the information for the Family Life Commission across the screen. Call us for tickets, and let's work here too on strengthening marriages. Maybe Father, you can share something about the Humane Vitae 50th anniversary.
And the BOMA
TT.
TT,
Billings Ovulation
Method
Ovulation
Association of
they have
Tobago.
a screening. So
Yes.
the movie hasn't been officially released. So
Right.
it's what we are going to see is a screening of the movie Sexual Revelation by Springtime Productions,
Right.
which deals with, it's a documentary to help us understand, well, how have we arrived where we are at? So it's a documentary on the sexual revolution and what it has done to us in light of the 50th anniversary of Humane Vitae. That document that became somewhat of a very key moment in the church because it split the church, and what it revealed in reflecting is the way in which sexual morality became the hardest place for people to accept and live the gospel. And the way in which the culture in the midst of this, continuously is eroding family life and the values and virtues. And we continuously, all of us, we live in this culture, so we experience it. But we have to continue asking for God's grace. We continue making, there's the sacrament of reconciliation, there's the Eucharist, there's people as community growing together, helping each other. And so that happens. There are a number of dates that happen.
It's on the 12th and the 13th. So the 12th is at
Finbar's.
St. Finbar's Pastoral Center. The 13th is San Fernando OLPH. And the 19th is at Malabar in Arima. And again, you can contact us at the Family Life Commission.
It's $50 for entry. I don't think the price was on the posters, but it's $50 for entry. And the love languages one is $250 per person, because they're bringing down someone from Canada who can speak professionally on the whole love languages stuff.
Right. So if you want this information and you could always go onto our Facebook page. We have all our information there, and we also have our website, which is AFLCRC.org. So if you want more information on these 3 events, about these 2 events, you could always go there and you'll get it and give us a call. We're here with any information you need.
And not just for married couples, like the one for the love languages, the couple organizing it said to me, this is for married couples, for clergy, and for religious. Because we do need priests to understand, and people who work in the church to understand married life, to understand these realities, So I really encourage people to think seriously, especially the film, If you can't get to the love languages, go see the film. Have a conversation. Use it as a conversation piece with your children, with friends.
Make it a
so much that
family
can happen.
event. Make it a family event, or even in your parish.
They may say that's so awkward, mom and dad, but it's fine. It's happening there, and they've seen things on TV and they don't discuss.
Exactly,
so
but
it becomes a way in which you
make
can.
it an activity. Make it something that you get involved with. Take it to the parish level. You all come and you all be a part of something and a movement. So as we get down to the last 4 minutes and 8 seconds of the show, well, we didn't really get into the papal mass, Pope Francis, and that would have been, but if it is you all want to see it, it's on YouTube. There's everything from him in the crowd to his
Deacon
homily.
Jesse was a treaty.
We must talk about Deacon Jesse, because Deacon Jesse was like our host Yeah, from the he picked us up at the airport. And Deacon Jesse was a deacon at the Mass with the Holy Father.
The pictures are on the screen, yes.
So, and after we saw him after, we said, can we shake your hand? Keeping him after the Mass, you know. So we really want to thank the Dominicans for really taking care of us.
Right.
Deacon Jesse, Maurice White, Father Matthew Martinez, Father Greg Carroll, and the whole Thaler posse.
Community.
We really want to thank them for really hosting us. And we want to thank the AAC. The AAC played a big part in sponsoring us to go to this World Meeting of Families. So Father John Pissard and Bishop Robert Llanos, who were part of the team, we really want to thank them as well.
Yes.
And we really encourage you to go look at the
videos.
Talks. There were a lot of talks on technology and the family. There were a lot of talks. It's worth seeing about children and protecting children. Worth seeing because we have to do something new. We have to find a way forward that is not doing the same thing we did in the past.
Well, and there was a lot of talks too about sexuality. How can you talk to your children about
what
sex
we will
and
do
sexuality?
is that we will make that link available on our website. We will put up the link on our Facebook so that you don't have to go in there and search for it. We will make it available to you so that you could just access it because all of the talks are there. Every single one of them. And
maybe what people can do is tell us what they would like. Tell us what you'd like to see happening with the Family Life Commission. What are some things you'd like to see?
Or how we could recreate some of that talk, some of the talks down here. Maybe we could work together to recreate some of the content and bring it to you.
Yes, in a small symposium.
What we need to add though is that the next World Meeting of Families is in Rome.
Yes.
So you could start planning from now.
So start to save money from now, plan and schedule all your vacations and, all those different things. So we're down to the last minute and I just want to say thank you. I knew an hour would not have been enough, but I know we only witnessed half of the fun and the excitement of what you all experienced. Thank you for going and exposing yourself so you could bring it home to us. We look forward to a lot of things. I'm sure the audience look forward to a lot of things that you'll have to bring for us here as church. And is there any final things you all would like to say? 1 minute and 31 seconds, no?
Well, I think the theme song, it's worth taking a listen.
Yes.
It ends up with these most beautiful words from 1 Corinthians 13. Love bears all things. Love hopes all things. That really, in the end, that's what it is.
So, Father, you're the singer. You want to give
boy.
I can't remember the whole thing. It's like,
my gosh. X Factor.
The joy of love.
He couldn't. Nuts.
So it starts off like that. Joy for all God's family. The joy of love. Transcending time and space. Our love for each other. Mirrors God the Father's love, the joy of love, a joy for all the earth. Something like that.
Exactly like that.
No, it's not exactly like that.
So thank you once again. Thank you for viewing our show today. We are so happy to have you. Please enjoy the rest of your day.